Obviously, you're always looking to win, but what can you and the team take from a game like this when you get the match and come back to take the lead?
Yeah, it's tough. You don't want to just we're gonna try to pull the positives out of all of it, but there's no it's disappointing the way we started that game. It was just extremely disappointing how we came out flat and that we needed that to get us going. And so that's on me, in terms of getting that locker room ready and making sure that they're motivated and they're ready to perform from the tip. That being said, though, when you put yourself in a hole to scratch and claw and to again our bench was just um, productive and a surge, and then the starters responded early in the third, and so yeah, it's encouraging to know that you have a group that is resilient and not going to just roll over. So again, we're still working to put 40 minutes together consistently.
Coach, looking at Boston, she's just so strong down low. It's really hard to defend. I'd love to get your take from the coaching lens. Just what makes her such a difficult force in the paint?
Yeah, she's got that combination of strength and more quickness than you think, right? When she can get to her spots and she can power through you. I thought tonight she had some good counters as well and scored over her right shoulder a couple times. So the more, she continues to build that, the more, the tougher she's going to be to guard. But she's physical. She's a good screener. She just works angles really well and does so much work before the catch that you don't see that now puts her in positions to make easy, more efficient plays around the hoop.
You talked yesterday about wanting to get out to transition and run against this team. They really bogged you down early on the offense end before made you go late to the shot clock. Was that something they were doing, or was that like you mentioned earlier that you guys came out a little bit flat, or a combination of both?
Yeah, I mean, I think our first transition basket was this one, the three at the end of the second quarter. That was our first transition basket. It's tough when you're taking the ball out of the hoop, right? They shot over 70% in the first half. So our challenge is when we're not getting stops, can we still generate a tempo and a pace? But we just weren't able to do that. And it's hard when you have to go against a half court defense the entire time. And their credit to them, their physicality bothered us, right? Like they just our movement wasn't there, whether it was off the ball on pin downs with them top blocking, ball screens with them being a little more aggressive. They were just extremely physical and just kind of blew up our initial action. So yeah, we've got to respond and find ways to loosen things up and be able to still get to space and still execute when teams are being extremely physical. But it helps when you can get stops and run and play more freely on the open floor.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about like how Maisha kind of got things started earlier? Because y'all were kind of flat, and then she was able to hit some pretty good shots to get the offense rolling.
Yep. Just good energy off the bench again. She just great communicator out there and just is a good connector. And so I love that she's just been more aggressive here these last couple of games off the bench, looking for her own offense. So we need that from her. And I've just, since she's moved there, I've liked these two games with what she's given us off the bench.
Coach, y'all came back from 23 down as we talked about, and it felt like, Paige's shot making, Enrique got going late in the third with 8 in that little short burst. Y'all take the lead, and then over the next 5 minutes, Enrique gets 2 shots attempts, Paige doesn't get any. Is there any focus on getting your star players more shots in the game's tightest moments?
Totally. And, that's part of that's on the coaching staff, but it's also on, the other team is doing everything they possibly can to not allow those two shoot the ball. So there's a balance there, right? It's tough when teams are being that physical. Can you still work to be able to make sure you touch the ball and get a touch? And then again, are we running the right actions to be able to help them? So it's a balance. But their physicality, their denials for sure, it disrupted us most of the game.
Chris, my question is basically building off your last answer. What, from your point of view, what happened after Paige hit those couple of buckets, when it hits that bucket and everything is rolling, then the wheels kind of fall off. From your vantage point, what happened now?
Yeah, I think we fouled and then, they just put their head down and got to the rim. Ari got to the rim there. Kelsey Mitchell got to the rim. I thought it was a 4-point game, and we got a miss and a rebound, and then we turned it over in the backcourt, and then Natasha Howard makes that in and makes it 6. I thought that was kind of like a backbreaker there at the 3-minute mark, even that if we just secure the rebound and make an outlet pass, now we're playing against a broken floor early. So just some, we couldn't get a stop down the stretch. What did we get? Two stops in the last 4 minutes once we took that 1 point lead. And a lot of that was just them putting their head down, determined to get to the rim. So credit to them for making plays down the stretch.
Ultimately led to that slow start? Do you think it was just like mental? Like, what do you think was happening?
Yeah, I don't know. I hate to, I don't want to. Yeah, I don't know. I got to be better in the locker room and make sure that they're motivated. They've got to be better as a team and make sure that even though they felt it early, like could we have gotten it back earlier and not let it balloon to this early 20-point lead? So not going to make any excuses. We've just got to be better.
Coach, this is just a fun little question for you. How are you able to keep your man bun so together during high stressful games and packed arenas like this?
Um, yeah, just tie that thing tight and try not to get too animated out there where you move around. The loose it gets.
Despite the outcome of the game, it was high energy, it was a packed house. Do you think this is kind of a snapshot of things to come when the team does move to Dallas next season?
I hope so. Yeah, just again, extremely grateful for this opportunity and love that Dallas showed out. And again, disappointed in our start, but I think they saw the resiliency and the fight to come all the way back and to take a 1 point lead. I think the game was still very much exciting. You saw star players doing their things, making shots. So I think overall, when you take a step back, like it was still a fun and a very good night for women's basketball for sure. As much as it hurts with that first quarter start. So hoping that, people who came maybe for the first time, they'll be back for sure. Like they liked what they saw on the floor and we gained some more fans tonight. So yeah, just grateful for the opportunity and thought that, there's more of that to come for sure.